What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Left of Center podcast, and I am your co-host today.
Amateur hour.
What's going on?
Whose volume is
on? Is it mine? I don't know.
Is it Jimmy's?
Oh my God! If I have to come over there and fix your phones,
I'm on mute.
No, you got to turn it all the way down. You can't mute it.
Okay.
It's you.
Just shut the phone off.
There it was. All right, so that's a great start.
This is great. Viewership's just plummeting.
It's very volatile, huh?
Hey,
it goes
everybody.
up and down really fast.
Obviously, we've got some co-hosts today. My name is Phil Taillon, a.k.a. Rambo, and I have my co-host here, Jimmy Taillon, and today is going to be the Taillon Takeover.
Over.
That's a lot of echo there. I like
awful.
that. Yeah, we're going to use that.
Yeah.
We're going to be using that all day. I know what you're thinking. The people that are just tuning in, that typically tune in on Fridays, you're thinking to yourself, why has Phil and Jimmy not taken over a lot earlier? Is what you were probably going through your head right now. So we agree with you. We're excited to be filling in today. No, but in all seriousness, Mayor Tom is getting a well-needed break. And Kevin Smith, as everybody knows, is recovering from COVID. And he's doing very well. And he's going to be joining us here in just a few minutes. So we'll be talking to him
by
about
phone.
By phone, yes.
He's not coming in.
Everything in here is still cleaned from the last time we were here, I believe. So Kevin has not been in this room, which is good for all of us. We're excited, though, today that we have a very special call-in guest.
It's not Kevin. Kevin's not the very special guest.
He's special,
He's special
to me, though.
in his own way. He's special.
If Kevin was our special guest, the viewer count would probably go down to single digits here shortly, since everybody's so used to seeing him on this podcast anyhow. But no, we have somebody very special. Jim, I'll let you kind of talk about it.
Yeah, we have a baseball sports agent, Russell Wilson's agent, a lot of baseball players. He's a buddy of mine from college. So Darek Braunecker is his name with Frontline Athlete Management's going to be calling in around 8 o'clock. We'll talk some baseball, Cubs, White Sox, Tony La Russa, what he thought about Tony La Russa, and what it's like to be a free agent these days, or even just a high school athlete trying to make it in baseball. Yeah,
we were looking at that. Russell Wilson right now is the 5th highest paid athlete.
I believe it's sixth.
Or sixth.
To be accurate.
With when you count endorsements and everything else. So, I mean, that's a big deal to be his agent is, you got to be doing something right.
Yeah, and you're going to talk about some memories that he allowed you to be a part of.
Yeah, when I think of Darek, and I don't know if he'll even remember this, but when I think of Darek, I think of the guy who got me a ticket to the Bartman game. Because obviously he was an agent at the time for A.J. Burnett, who was playing on the Marlins.
He was on the Marlins, right?
Was he Dontrelle Willis's agent too, or no? Okay.
No. We just hung out with him that night where you were eating pizza with Dontrelle Willis after a game on Rush Street in Chicago.
Yeah, and I'm still a little bitter about it because we went out that night. We partied. There was probably like 4 or 5 baseball players with us. I don't even remember the other guys. And it was a great time. But then at the end of the night, somehow I ended up being the one that bought pizza for everybody.
Pizza. Yeah,
I'm hanging with these millionaires. These guys are like, they're made of money at that point. And here's me, like, probably scrounging by. I forget how many years ago. Was that 2006?
I think wasn't that the Bartman year, wasn't it?
Yeah, I should have looked that up. But
that's show prep.
Yeah,
What?
We don't need to do that. We're also going to talk a little politics since this podcast is, technically a political show. So we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in the country right now. In fact, there was some big news
Overnight.
Yeah. I believe Arizona was called for President-elect Joe Biden, which is just adds to the tally of electoral votes that he needed for to become the president.
Absolutely shocking. Did not see that coming whatsoever.
Well, Fox saw it earlier than everybody else by far. They called it very early. And
last year, I think. They called it last year, right?
It did. Yeah. It was. I think it was 2019.
Right.
So that's interesting. We're going to talk to Kevin a little bit about that as well, since, obviously Kevin's our political expert when it comes to that sort of thing. And then we're just going to talk a little bit about, things that are going on right now. COVID has really changed society, obviously. And one thing that we were kind of hitting on before the show started is, how there's so many things we miss now that we just don't get to do anymore because of COVID, because of the pandemic. So I think we're going to touch on that a little bit also.
And we don't want to be too good, because when the mayor and Kevin do come back, it'll be a letdown for the regular fans. So, we just want to make this an average level show all the way through.
Yeah, what happens if,
With a celebrity guest.
Going forward, what happens if every show they come on, people are just constantly clamoring for the Taillon Takeover?
Over.
Jesus.
If for nothing else, just to hear that echo alone, they might do that. So, yeah, you're right, Jim.
Let's get into sponsors.
Sponsor.
Kevin's calling in shortly. The people want to hear from Kevin.
People want to hear about misprint printing. That's what they want to hear about.
That's a great point. Okay, let's get through our sponsors this morning very quickly. So with that, Misprint Printing with both Munster and Hammond locations. Rick Baltenberger and his team are there for absolutely all of your printing needs. He's responsive, fast, and good. And that means printing as well. Banners and sizes of all sizes, from wrapping cards to business cards. No job is too big or small. Call Rick or Teresa at 219-836-2517.
Kevin wrote that himself.
Did he?
He has being a lawyer doesn't work out, he has a very promising career in copywriting.
Responsive, fast, and good as Kevin.
Well, Misprint also does all those ads in the sportsplex at the soccer field and everything. They do all those ads, so they can do a little bit of everything.
It does look amazing.
That's bonus stuff that Misprint doesn't get when the regular hosts are here, right there.
That's great
value.
Point. Yeah,
that's value.
Kevin didn't write that down.
No.
Nobody would even know that right now, Jimmy, if it wasn't for...
Wow.
Absolutely.
Jimmy, why don't you read the next sponsor? Because we need someone who can actually read these.
Go ahead, Phil.
Jesus.
Latitude Commercial is a full-service commercial real estate brokerage and property management firm specializing in northern Indiana and the Chicago suburbs. Local tenants to national developers have benefited from Latitude's experience in the commercial real estate market. When you select Latitude Commercial, you get Chicagoland expertise with worldwide marketing and networking ability. Whether you are a developer looking to sell, a tenant looking to expand, an investor looking to purchase, or an owner in need of property management services, Latitude can help. Contact Latitude at 219-864-0200 or at latitudeco.com so they can get to work for you.
All right, last one. Jimmy, you want to take
it?
Did
Kevin write that one too? That was pretty long.
No, actually, I worked with my uncle on that one.
Okay.
So.
How do you feel about the owner of that place?
Not the best owners in the world, but I mean they do their best. That's what you gotta. That's what I say about Aaron and
we're not the best, but we do our best.
Oh boy.
Latitude.
I really hope he's watching right now.
We'll never be the best, but we try our best. I think Jimmy has eyesight issues with trying to read these, right?
Yeah, I got my glasses on.
That's why he's telling me to read them. So I know I'm doing such a horrible job. You guys keep, Jimmy, do this next one and let Phil off the hook because he's just not cutting the, okay.
He's blind.
All right, last one. Ron Prestimer Insurance Agency, Inc. Are you looking for insurance in Hammond, Indiana? Welcome to the Ron J. Prestimer Insurance Agency, located in Hammond, Indiana. We specialize in a wide variety of insurance products and services, including auto, home, life, health, business, and much more. Currently, the Ron J. Prestimer Insurance Agency serves the insurance needs of about 1,000 individuals and families, and the insurance needs of 300 business concerns in Northwest Indiana, the Chicagoland area, and multiple other states. Ron Prestimer Insurance.
All right. Can I do my spiel? I know Kevin is currently waiting online right now, but I got to do my thing.
Let's do it.
Cool. And John keeps pushing the microphone into my face. Okay. I'm trying not to get all up in the microphone's business because I'm a mouth breather and I'm just got to avoid that. All right. So you're listening to Left of Center, where we cover everything from politics to important events of the day in the Midwest and the nation, all while trying to have way too much fun while doing it. And if you can't get enough of us, follow us on Facebook at Left of Center Podcast or on Twitter at LockPod, LOCPOD. And if you can't listen in live, download our episodes from the Apple Podcast or Spotify app and enjoy our show at a crystal clear 367 kilohertz per second. Just search Left of Center and look for our red and blue logo. Also, do you own a business? Are you running for office? Do you just want to hear us talk about you in a semi-positive way? Send us an email at leftofcenterpod, P-O-D, at gmail.com and give us your money, please.
Awesome.
Sponsor an episode. It's not that pricey, I promise. If you want to wish somebody happy birthday or something, or break up with your boyfriend or girlfriend on air.
Or propose.
Or, wow, that would be really nice.
We can also do echoes if you need it. We can echo at the end of anything.
You know you are getting desperate when you're like, listen, if you want to break up with somebody or just things are going really bad in your life.
We could really help you out. We could just, call them on the phone, put them on air, and break up with them for you.
Interventions, in case you're bad at picking NFL games. We could do interventions. We could
We've
do a lot of different.
We're going to get into
We're
that.
very good about that.
I don't know what you're alluding to, but You know, there's been a lot of misinformation when it comes to Phil's locks of the week.
Excuse me?
But you know what? We'll talk about that. We're going to get into that.
Oh, okay. You want to fight today? All right.
Listen, I want the truth to come out. People need to know the truth.
You know what?
Okay.
Kevin is waiting for you right
Yeah,
now.
how do
I'll
we
deal with you later.
How do we feel about making the co-host wait on the phone?
You know what?
It's what the people want. Okay, John, it's what the people are demanding. They want more.
Can we do a question, John? Can you ask the audience if they want Kevin to? No, I'm just joking.
Leave them on hold.
Yeah, let me create a poll real quick, Kevin. Just wait another 4 minutes. Hold on. Okay, I'm going to bring Kevin in.
Kevin Smith, are you on the line?
Good morning.
Good morning, Kevin. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good, guys. Jimmy, a couple things. One, I've enjoyed the reading test.
Thank you.
You know what? Kevin gets on the line. Did you notice our viewer count immediately went up? And I thought it'd be the exact opposite.
Right.
You know, but apparently Kevin's voice just brings like a calmness with him
It is
that the
very
viewers
relaxing.
really enjoy.
Hey, Kevin, we would appreciate it if you would just bring a little bit more to what we're trying to do here today. All right, we've worked really hard to build this thing, and we just need you to kind of keep it going. All right, bring some energy for us.
Well, like you said, Jimmy, you know, you're just trying to keep it average, and I mean, I guess the fans will decide whether you're doing a good job at doing that or not. But I want to ask you real quick. Well, I've got you on because I get to watch you guys now. I want to see what your headgear is. Is that University of Arkansas Little Rock going? What do you got going there?
That is UALR, University of Arkansas Little Rock, and Frontline Athlete Management gear too from my buddy Darek, who's coming on later.
I
on.
love it. I like it. It's
You
got
get-
a cool country western
The way it's
music shirt on.
yeah, it's definitely the bill is country right there for sure. That is Arkansas bill.
You have to represent. I mean, Jimmy, you lived in Arkansas for how many years?
I want to tell you, Jimmy, you're carrying the show.
Okay.
I mean, Kevin, that was pretty obvious. That's why they brought me in. I think we had the whole thing ready to go, and then Phil showed up at, 10 minutes before we started, I guess. And then tried to change everything around.
Typical.
Yeah.
I was locked outside. Nobody would let me in. I had to, ring in the person next door to open
No,
the door
Phil
for me.
literally showed up late with a large coffee today.
That's an extra large coffee, actually.
Along those lines, I mean, Phil was supposed to call me last night for a little show prep. I think he called me at, John, what do you want to give him, 7:25?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
AM.
Kevin, I mean, you saw
AM.
the beginning of the show. Obviously, did we really need the prep? I mean, it turned out perfectly.
This is going real.
By the way,
well.
this poll is going sideways for you, Kevin. Do not look at the results online right now.
And I didn't even vote.
Oh, that's good. Does that mean I'm out? Can I go back to practicing law?
No, we need you. Kevin, first of all, give everybody an update because I know everybody wants to know how you're doing since you tested positive for COVID.
And I appreciate it, Phil. First of all, I want to thank all the listeners and folks that have sent well wishes my way. It really is kind of humbling. I was just overwhelmed by all the well wishes. So thanks everybody who have done that. I really do appreciate it. And I'm continuing to get better. I mean, I feel really, I guess what I would call it is like residual when you have a chest cold. That's where I'm at right now. A little bit of taste and smell gone. But I'm out of quarantine this weekend, and I will be back to work on Monday, and I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait to get back. I just, again, I think I said this last time, I feel really genuinely lucky so far regarding this virus that I caught, and I just want everybody to be safe. I think one thing I've noticed over the past week, you see it nationally, and I think even more importantly locally, is that there's been a huge spike, and you can't remind people more then you have to remind everybody, but you just have to stress it. Just be safe out there, wear your masks, social distance. It just seems to be everywhere. I bet you guys could probably confirm that. You just see more and more people that that are coming down with it.
100%. I mean, you're just like you said in the beginning. It seemed like it was few and far between to know anybody that tested positive, and now we all probably know at least 5 that have, and that's part of the reason I think Indiana is taking a step back. I think Governor Holcomb decided that on Monday we are going back down to no more than 50 people at one gathering, if that's what I read, and that's the accurate information. So, and obviously Illinois is going back into I don't want to say lockdown mode, but didn't they just make an announcement too that as of Monday they're going to be basically shutting back down?
Yeah, and he said they might actually go back into lockdown. So the numbers are so bad there, and you're seeing it everywhere now. It felt like it was in New York mainly, some of the coastal areas in the spring, and now it's everywhere. And obviously Kevin has it, so it's really close to home.
The one consistent thing I hear from everybody, well, not everybody, but almost everybody who has COVID is this loss of taste and smell. And it's hard for me to even picture or know what that would feel like. I mean, do you lose your appetite? Are you even hungry? I mean, talk about it, Kevin.
Yeah, it hasn't really affected my appetite, and I guess it's more kind of, I would consider it more like almost like a faded taste and smell. It's there, but it's less than significantly, I guess is what I would call it. And actually, I was happy that it hasn't really, because sometimes when you're sick, you don't want to eat at all, and you're just kind of laying there. This has not really affected my appetite. I've still wanted to eat. It just is a situation where it's not as fun maybe. So
okay.
I maybe haven't eaten as much, and that's probably a good thing for me. So, but I'm hoping it comes back. I've heard people say it was a week. I've heard people say 3 weeks. I've heard people say I don't have it back yet. So again, very much like the virus, it's an individual type of thing, and you don't know what it's going to do to you. And that's kind of the scary thing of this, right? We're learning so much more about it as we go forward, and that's why you don't want it. I mean, I'm lucky. I've had a mild case so far, but some people haven't been so lucky, and we can't forget that.
Right. You worry about the long-term effects. You hear about those things, the long haulers, they call it. So you worry about those type of things happening. So,
yeah. Well, and
without a doubt, Jimmy. That's exactly right. So, but thanks for letting me check in, Phil, on that. And I appreciate, like I said, I appreciate everybody again reaching out and wishing me well. And I wish everybody else well who's going through this, because it's something that we are all facing. And all I can ask everybody is just continue to stay safe.
No, thanks, Kevin. Thanks for the update. We also want to send our well wishes to one of the great leaders of Northwest Indiana and a friend of ours, Mayor Uran. Obviously, it came out recently that he tested positive as well, and we all hope he has a very quick recovery. And
Phil, have you heard anything from Mayor Dave about how he's doing?
I have not. I actually saw Mayor Dave about a week before he tested positive, but I have not. I assume when somebody gets COVID, especially in a public manner like that, you are probably getting inundated from anybody and everybody. So I didn't send any texts or anything to see how he's doing, but we probably should do that. Right, Kevin?
Yep, that's right, Phil. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's just the feed's a little bit choppy on the phone. I apologize, but yeah, exactly.
All right, well, let's get to some political talk, Kevin, because we're going to be talking some sports stuff, which I think is going to be really cool. Talking to a sports agent about not only just local sports, the Chicagoland sports, but also some stuff for kids that are looking to.
It's going to be a great guest, and thank goodness Jimmy got him, Phil.
Isn't it a little strange though that as soon as new hosts came into this or started doing this podcast, that the guest level is getting so much better, Kevin? Does that alarm you at all, or?
Well, I think it just tells you how good we are without guests.
Okay. I guess that's one way of looking. Did you have Matt Money Smith on, Kevin? Was he on your podcast?
He told me he wants to wait until, I guess, a couple things. One, well, we were hoping to get him in when he was in town, but he's not coming in town because of COVID. The other thing is he probably just wants to see how you guys do to see if he'd rather be on with you guys instead of me and the mayor.
Kevin, I was literally going to say he's waiting till the show gets a little bit better, is what he's basically telling you.
A little over average, Jimmy.
Right, and I think we've struck that chord right now for sure.
I think if it's proven, if you go on Left of Center podcast, you actually lose Twitter followers immediately.
How crazy would it be if this is the most watched podcast that they've ever had?
There's no doubt.
We would have to change the numbers, obviously. So I'm not picking up dog poop in a park or something.
Exactly.
As my new job next week. But
as soon as they see the name
of marketer, I expect big sponsors after this. We need some money.
I think we're going to lose sponsors. We're going to lose sponsors because they made fun of them.
Yeah, we're going to get unsavory sponsors starting next week because of them.
We should be like how Trump put the fraud hotline in. We should do that and have people call in with fake sponsors and see if Lockpod falls for it and starts reading them off during the show.
Oh, we will. Don't worry. You've heard Mayor. He'll fall for it.
Total Landscaping.
Have Borat call in. Borat will call in.
Yes,
right.
There we go.
Four Seasons Landscaping.
Four Seasons Landscaping.
The sponsorships are going to go up because this was the Taillon Takeover.
Over.
Oh my God!
So with that, Kevin,
that's increasing viewership.
It just went up. I'm watching it every time we
I
say.
watched it went down 5.
Every echo of over.
Down
okay.
5.
So Kevin, let's talk about. Did you see last night? Apparently, Arizona was called for, and I know Fox called it. A day after the election, but it was actually officially called last night for Joe Biden.
Well, what do you mean officially call? It's not
A
officially
really
call.
interesting article,
Official.
kind of a, in the war room with the president type thing. And you never know how accurate those are. It's amazing how, they get these articles about what was going on.
Oh, gosh, did we lose Kevin?
He and his family were when Fox called Arizona, like right around the same time. I think, John, was it before AP even? Or was it right when AP called it?
It was on
early?
Election night.
And
Fox called
jumped
it.
on.
Yeah.
It was about the same time. They had both called it, Kevin, AP and Fox.
Yeah, and that was weird because the other networks didn't do it. I know the president's family, I heard, called Fox to try to get him to take it back. Somebody called Rupert Murdoch, tried to take it back, and they didn't do it. And I guess they ended up correct. I mean, it seems to me like it was called pretty early, but
for 11,000 vote difference, it's pretty early.
Yeah,
so, but now it's called, and it's just another, I guess, chip in President-elect Biden's belt. I don't know. I think things are starting to turn for the president a bit in the sense that other Republican lawmakers and members of Congress and leaders around the world are calling Biden, and they're kind of starting to jump off the Trump ship, at least temporarily. And he's going to at some point have to acknowledge the fact that the votes just aren't there. That I don't think there's anything I've seen yet in any of the lawsuits that I read about that reaches the standard, which is usually a pervasive fraud that could overturn the election. It's so rare for that to happen. I mean, it happened once here in Lake County that a court found that, but it has to be pervasive, and you have to be able to show it. And I don't know. The only thing I saw was a list of people in Nevada in which somebody did an analysis, and a lot of them are military families. So I don't know. I don't know if they're just grasping at straws or if there's something there. I haven't seen it yet. I guess we'll see what happens. But I don't think there's ever going to be enough to say there's 30,000 votes that are going to be overturned. And just remember, if you lose an election by 50,000, you've got to find, I guess, half of those to make it even. So if you've lost, Georgia's the only one that's going to be interesting, and they've decided to do a hand count, and they got to get it done by the 20th. I guess we'll see what happens.
Well, and I want to hear from John, because I heard him. He was chiming in there for a minute when we said the news media, MSNBC, CNN, AP, they called the election. They call certain states, and this is what you hear from Republicans right now: is how does media call elections for states, but yet in the history of the United States, this is how it's always been done every election day. But this time, because President Trump lost, now you're saying it's been done wrong all these years, John?
No, you just said officially called, but it's not officially called. It's called by the networks. I mean, the same thing happened with Gore. I mean, Kevin, we were talking about this in show prep. You said, back when Gore was kind of sour about this, now Trump's looking sour. So it's been done both ways before.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it hasn't. Al Gore also said he created the internet, so it's something to think about. But
yeah, I think that. I'm sorry, Phil. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, I see what's going on. It's the
I'm
Smith
pretty sure you
takeover.
did. Yeah, you did.
It's the Kevin Smith takeover. Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's just hard on the phone. I was just going to say, yeah, it's an interesting thing about Florida, and Democrats, I think, learned their lesson there, because Al Gore started kind of like behind a little bit, and then was trying to get the county. It's a totally different situation, by the way. If you go back and study that 2000 election, it all had to do with actually counting the ballots, not and then the ballots got stop counted in the middle of Palm Beach County. So it was different. Like, the Republicans in that sense got the count stopped, which was crazy. If you go back and look at that whole thing, the fact that Gore didn't try to push a little bit harder, or maybe he did push as hard as he could, but I think at some point he just felt, we're just going to have to chalk it up and lose the election. I think Al Gore, it was so close. I don't know, John, do you remember 347 votes or 377 votes we're talking about?
No, it was like 500 votes. It was 500 and some votes in Florida. That's why they did the recount. 500
votes.
Yeah.
So think about that. We're talking tens of thousands of votes here in each state and multiple states. I just think it's a tough road for the president to hoe, and he should pack it in and let's move on. He can start looking towards 2024, which is what you hear he's going to do. So, good luck to him. But we got to get things moving, and we got to transition the government.
Or he wants to start his TV show. I think the interesting thing is how engaged is he going to stay in Georgia, because the Senate's still up, and they're going to have to convince Trump that there's something in this for him. Otherwise, he's already calling Fox traitors, right, because they called Arizona. So how is he going to stay engaged, or does he just go away and you lose all those Trump voters in Georgia, and the Senate will be tied, and then it's broken up by the vice president.
Well, and that's I'm glad you brought that up, because that's the one thing I don't think in this situation we're talking about Republicans. It could be a Democratic scenario in other elections, but in this situation, it's the Republicans that are crying foul, that are saying there's issues. Trump's saying it's fraud. But to me, there's a runoff going on in Georgia for 2 Senate seats that are absolutely integral to how this country is going to go forward. And I think as people are seeing certain Republicans, do this, crying thing where they're, you can't call the election. I mean, there's fraud everywhere, even though there's no proof of it. I think it brings more people in Georgia to step up and vote for the Democratic senators. So if I was them, I would take a completely different stance on this personally, but it is what it is. Kevin?
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting what happens in Georgia. I mean, I think there's, as an American, there's something to be said about a split government. It usually helps with getting things done. We'll see what happens. I guess the other thing I just want to say, and I'm going to let you guys get to your guest. I don't want to stay on too long with you guys because I know you're going to have a really good guest with Jimmy's friend, who's also an unbelievable sports agent for people like Russell Wilson. But I guess just in final, I would say, you're dealing with multiple states here. I think it's going to be really difficult to overturn. And the other thing, and so you kind of just touched on this, you can't say, the Senate races and all the House races and all the down ballot races in all these states were correct, and then the presidential count was wrong. It's the same ballot. So I'm hoping we get through this. I'm hoping we get over it. And by next Tuesday when I'm back on the pod, if you guys will let me back on, I will be happy to kind of give an update.
Kevin, that's up to the voters. It's not really up to us. So, I mean, that's kind of out there, and we'll see what happens. And we're trying to be average, but we have big takes, and there's a lot of things happening right now, and I think people are really excited about the Taillon takeover.
Oh, God.
Over.
Kevin, please come
there
back.
It is. All right.
Thanks, Kevin. We're glad you're feeling better,
weekend.
buddy. We'll see you soon back in the studio here. All right.
Ooh.
That was fun.
Not like getting the blood pressure up early in the morning about election talk.
This podcast is called Left of Center.
I do.
Yeah. So I think most of the opinions in this room are probably going to be on that side. But it's good to talk about this stuff. And I know, John, you and I have had some pretty good arguments when it comes to politics. I get a little excited from time to time. Especially if I had a couple drinks in me. So I think there's been a few people that probably experienced dark Phil from time to time.
If the viewers saw the thread that we've had going with a couple other people during this election, it's truly dark. It's some dark stuff.
I had to stop responding to it. You've
dropped off.
It's been about over 24 hours. I couldn't.
Did they bully you off of the thread?
It's not bullying off of the thread at all. I was handling my own.
Do you need an adult?
If anything, I think I was intimidating them too much, and they weren't being as outgoing as they would have been.
This is what Phil did. He spent the election cycle demonizing folks like myself, and then when President-elect Biden, as they're calling it, Phil now all of a sudden is like, look, man, this is about peace and love. I mean, come on, let's just love each other. I mean, I know I spent the last however many months demonizing you, but this is about love, man. So
let's heal the rift.
We were in this text thread that we have. We were intentionally trying to antagonize each other a little bit. It was a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
But if Trump would have won, and he didn't. I don't know if you know that, John, but if he would have, I would have had the same thing. Like, all right, guys, we ran this thread ran its course. It's time to move on. Let's get back to everyday life. So, in this situation, it turns out to be the opposite. But in the beginning, we don't have our guest on the phone just yet, right?
Not yet.
In the beginning, one thing I mentioned, John, before the election ever occurred, when the Supreme Court justice seat came open, and the Republicans immediately said they're going to fill this seat. I remember talking to you about this and saying, you know what? They're going to do it. I'm glad they're going to do it because this is going to anger. There's a lot of people in this country. They're on the left and they're on the right, and that's typically where they go, and that's typically how they vote. But there's a lot of people that are kind of in the middle. And they watch for little signs to determine what route they're going to go. And when the Republicans in 2016 told President Obama, you can't fill that seat because it's the last year of your term.
9 months out.
9 months out. And then the same thing happens in 2020, and they do the exact opposite. That's where I think independents and other people look at that, and it helps tip the scales. And that's why I think you have President-elect Biden, who's going to be our next president.
Well, to your point as well, this Obamacare lawsuit that Trump is, driving during the clutch, like during the final moments of the election, it's like, me as a conservative, I can't figure out why they're pushing this right now at this moment. Like, that kind of stuff I do believe will fire up the other side and go out and vote, and here we are.
Well, and I don't even think they're going to turn it over. Some of the judges were saying, Kavanaugh was one of them, said that I don't think they're going to overturn Obamacare.
Exactly. A lot of people thought, why are they choosing this hill to die on, man?
All right. Well, with that, I think we have our special guest on the line with us. So let's welcome in Mr. Darek Braunecker. How you doing, Darek?
I'm good, guys. How are y'all?
Good, man. I appreciate you calling in. I told you this was my first venture into the podcast, and we need to tell you, first of all, Darek, we just need you to be average in this. We don't want to be too good because this is the mayor's podcast and we're filling in. And if we have too much interest and this show is too good, it's probably going to cost Phil and I in the long run. So
I understand. I'd hate for you to have an ongoing commitment to this podcast, Jim. So
right.
I'll be as average as I can be.
And I know you're used to calling in the national things, and this could be national. I'm sure there's people that are going to be listening to this later on.
Syndicated at some point, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Syndicated podcast. I'm not sure how that works.
Wait, are you saying, Darek, this is not the most exciting interview you've ever had before?
Well, it's got the potential to be. So
okay, that's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
So, Darek, you weren't when we were kind of teasing the audience about you joining us today. I don't know if you know this, but when you were introducing you, telling a little bit about yourself, but also I introduced you as the guy who got me tickets to the Bartman game. I don't even know if you remember that, but do you recall that at that time?
I got you the tickets to what?
To the Bartman game. Do you remember the Steve Bartman game?
Oh, goodness. Yeah, you know what? I didn't realize that was the game that I got you tickets to until you just told me that, but isn't that interesting?
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously
you owe me. You owe me, Phil.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't put me on the 30 for 30. Nobody called and asked me any questions, but I would have been happy to do it. So go ahead, Jimmy. Let's start it up.
Well, let's get into it. I mean, we were just talking. I thought it would be interesting. First of all, when the White Sox hired Tony La Russa, I'm sending you a WTF with 50 question marks. And were you shocked? Did you believe that was going to happen? And I know you can only say so much because you still deal with these guys, but what did you think when the White Sox hired Tony La Russa?
I think, like everybody, it was just a surprise. I don't know if I would say shocked, but and a surprise only because, it's just not the trend in the game these days. But I would say that Tony La Russa probably has Dusty Baker to thank for that, because when the Astros hired Dusty Baker last year, it came with, it was a bit of a head scratcher relative to what they had previously, but everybody saw it as probably kind of a bridge type of hiring, meaning somebody to bring in and kind of restore some order to an organization that was in a difficult situation and kind of put themselves in that position. But nonetheless, the fact that Dusty Baker kind of brought that old school mentality back into the game and had some success down there in Houston, and players actually seemed to respond to his methods. I would guess that probably had something to do with Mr. Reinsdorf's comfort with and belief that Tony would be able to do the same thing or something similar and still be able to get players to respond to him. But yeah, I think like everybody, it was certainly surprising, and particularly the way it was kind of lined up initially, where Rick Hahn had mentioned publicly that kind of what he was looking for, somebody with recent championship experience and so on and so forth. And so that criteria alone would have, at least in theory, eliminated Tony La Russa. But at the end of the day, the way I look at it is Jerry Reinsdorf owns the team. He has the ability to make whatever decisions he chooses, and it's his right as an owner. And if that's the person that he wanted to he believed was best to navigate his team on the field, then that's his prerogative to make that hire, and only time will tell if it was a good hire or not.
Yeah, how crazy? I mean, how do you see free agency happening right now with COVID and the teams without money? Are you going to see a lot of big contracts or any big contracts, or is it all going to be a lot of 1-year stuff?
Yeah, it's hard to say here. At this stage of the game, I mean, there's all sorts of speculation that the market's going to be suppressed and that clubs are going to be, really kind of targeting guys on shorter-term deals and so on and so forth. But it's just every year there's speculation how the market's going to play out, and this year, obviously, with the variables that exist, it's some additional challenges that we've never faced on the player side, and I think it's just a matter of working through the exercise and trying to figure out which clubs are committed to, continuing to really provide a winning product, and that's not just for the 2021 season. I mean, could there be revenues impacted in 2021? Yes, there can be, based on fan attendance, and I think that's the primary variable. But then we get into 2022, and there's a collective bargaining agreement expires in 2021, so there's the potential for a work stoppage then, and additional lost revenues for both sides. And still, it's a complicated time in the game for sure, but I'm gonna have confidence that we'll get through it, and I think the market will wind up being fine for players this offseason. But you very well may see more short-term deals.
All right, let's get into the important stuff, because I think Phil is known on this show as making bad fantasy or football picks. His betting is bad. And I know that your firm represents Russell Wilson, so I think Phil's thinking about the Rams-Seahawks game. I mean, do you have any insight this weekend to how Russell's feeling and how great he's doing and how much they rely on him?
I would just tell you this much. If I was a betting man, I wouldn't bet against Russell Wilson. That's the extent of my advice when it comes to gambling. Jim, my gambling habits or lack thereof, and certainly my gambling success leaves a lot to be desired. So
you're better than Phil, is what you're saying.
I'm better than
Derek
Phil.
is not aware of the lock of the week segment that we've been doing, and that my percentage is kind of low right now.
He's 2 for 8, and I am 7 for 3 right now, or 7-3. He's 2-8, I'm 7-3.
Yeah, that wasn't necessary information for Derek.
I don't know anything about football, also, Derek. So I just want you to know.
She picks based on colors of the uniforms, and she has a better record than Phil.
That's debatable. Derek, one question though, I know it came up. Somebody was talking about it in our prep work. Is if you're a younger kid these days and you want to get into baseball, you think that you got a chance to make it to the majors. And I know you actually played in the minors for a little while, as well as playing with Jimmy at Vincennes on their baseball team, which is probably when I first met you. And you guys introduced me to alcohol, but.
Whoa.
Let's talk about that.
There's a story there, but if you're a younger kid these days and you want to try and make it, but right now, I mean, there's no minor leagues. There's no. I mean, what's your path these days?
So I was having a little bit of a difficult time hearing you, Phil, but I ascertained that you're asking basically what's the path for a young guy right now to kind of follow in terms of seeking an opportunity maybe at the next level. Is that?
That's it. With COVID, correct.
Yeah. You know what? The first thing I would do is I would advise parents, not the children, because it's typically not the children that make these decisions; it's the parents. But the specialization of one sport has become extremely problematic, I think, to the development of these kids as athletes, and I think it's. Quite frankly, I think it's a real injustice that kids are being kind of pigeonholed and kind of directed to one particular sport at such young ages anymore. I think that Jim, and Phil, I mean, certainly you guys played whether it was in the backyard or it was recreational league or in school leagues or whatever the case is. Whatever the sport was is kind of what you were playing. Whatever the season was is the sport you were playing, and Jim, I think you'd be the first one to say that's how you built a lot of your athleticism and competitiveness and so on and so forth. And it's like the biggest issue and the biggest concern I have for youth athletes is this specialization and overexposure and overtraining and so on and so forth that for a particular sport at such a young age. I'm a big believer that kids should be able to have the opportunity to play all sports. And if you talk to guys throughout the major leagues, or even just people in our industry overall, whether it's on the team side or the player side, they will, continue to reiterate that issue at being kind of at the forefront of the concerns for people, in the game at the higher levels, that a lot of the athleticism is just being lost with, by these kids, and just the opportunity that they have to be kids and play various sports. So I would first and foremost advise parents to allow your kids to play various sports. By the time they're 14 or 15, it starts to flesh itself out. They start to identify which sports they like the most, and certainly which ones they're best at. But making these decisions at 8, 9, 10 years old, like you're seeing so many people do, and they're playing so much travel baseball and showcase baseball, it's just not. I believe it's detrimental to the development of these kids, both as people and as players. And so, play as many sports as you can for as long as you can. Certainly, some of the showcase stuff is good, but there's a lot to be said still for playing, kind of recreationally. Legion ball is kind of a thing in the past, but there's a lot of good competitive, youth baseball leagues that still exist. And so focus on that, but focus on being a kid and focus on being an athlete. And, time, there's only 750 jobs in the major leagues. And, the illusion that every kid, little Johnny's going to wind up growing up to be the next Mike Trout is just, that's not the case. I mean, you've got to be super gifted and lucky along the way, and have a lot of success and some exposure certainly, but so much of it goes back to just allowing these kids to be kids and kind of follow that path, as opposed to paying for specialized hitting coaches and pitching coaches at young ages and so on and so forth, with the idea that he's going to live in this silo of being a baseball player. So it's a bit of a soapbox issue for me, but and that's a long, circuitous way that doesn't really answer your question, but I feel strongly about that.
Yeah, I know Dustin too. One of your clients has always has talked about that along the way. So, hey, I know you got to get going. I appreciate you coming on. So, if you could just do me one favor, I am playing against Russell Wilson this week in fantasy. So, if you could just send him a text.
Sorry to hear that,
well,
Jim.
yeah, well, he's going against the Rams. But just have him audible to handoffs as much as possible, Derek. If you could do that.
Okay.
They can still score. I would just rather he's not doing it. So
Send him a memo.
Yeah, just let him know.
You could run the option the
Just
entire
hand
time or
the
something.
ball off. Don't run it. Don't pass it. Just hand it off.
Right. Let other people score the fantasy points so I can win. And that's very important to Russell. I'm sure he'll appreciate that.
Before you
Make
hang
sure you
up,
get that
Derek,
right, yeah.
one last question. And people want to know, because we were talking about it beforehand, because you're an agent, you get to go to a lot of events, a lot of games and whatnot. What's the most exciting game you attended that you had, you just will never forget?
The most exciting game I've attended?
Yes, sir.
I don't know, probably the most rewarding, kind of game that I've attended, or games I had. Represented Cliff Lee and AJ Burnett both, and they pitched Game 1 and Game 2 respectively of the whatever it was. What was it, Jim? 2009 World Series, maybe, the Yankees and Phillies, and just to be in the stadium, Yankee Stadium, and seeing it. They didn't match up and go head to head, but they both pitched extremely well in those two games, and that was probably the most rewarding experience in my career, just as a on-field experience, I guess. So I guess with that, there was a lot of excitement for me, and being able to just kind of sit back and see these two guys.
Derek, I thought you were honestly going to say when I caught the foul ball in Texas.
Elite level.
I literally, the only time I ever caught a foul ball, basically Derek nudges me. I'm texting my friend saying, man, I'm going to get hit by a foul ball. Here, Derek text, hey, the ball's coming. Reach my hand out. Somehow I catches it, and then he hits me, and one of your clients, Curtis Granderson and Dustin Mosley, are sitting there just shaking their heads, laughing at me because they saw I caught that foul ball.
Yes.
Wait,
Yes.
Derek predicted a foul ball? He texted you?
No, I was texting my friend saying,
Okay.
so I'm texting. So as soon as I catch the ball, like everybody's like, hey, nice catch. They saw me on TV at a Rangers game, and then the players were sitting on the bench. We were pretty low, obviously, and they saw it. So I autographed the ball and sent it in to Dustin Mosley and Curtis Granderson. Told them to go ahead and keep that.
Yes. Very thoughtful moment.
I'm sure it's sitting on their mantle today, Jim. Well, Derek, thank you so much, man. Thanks for taking the time out and calling in and giving some information to the folks in the region here and people listening to the podcast. We really appreciate that.
Hey, good luck doing another
You bet,
interview
guys.
after this, Derek. Good luck enjoying another interview.
Yes, sir. care. Thank you, Jim. We'll see you in deer camp.
Okay. Bye-bye.
See you, Derek. Well, that was fun. That's a great point, too. I mean, the whole thing about, I think one thing you notice these days when it comes to kids and sports is that sometimes parents get caught up in my child's going to be, the next, whatever athlete, whatever sport it is. And you get so honed in on that and focused on it that you forget that kids just want to have fun. They want to play. They want to compete. They want to be athletes. And sometimes that can be detrimental to their, their future.
Yeah, you see it at the sportsplex all the time. We got little kids that are playing basketball, and the parents are in the stands going crazy and getting mad and yelling at referees. And we're like, these are kids. Let the kids play. Everything else is going to take care of it. They're not getting drafted today. They're in fifth grade. They're not getting drafted in fifth grade. So let them play and let them play as much as you can. So.
Yeah, that really bothers me. When I'm at a youth sporting event and the parents are screaming and cursing and telling the refs what they're going to do to them after the game, it just, we forget, we lose, what's important in life sometimes when you're in those competitive situations.
It's like talking to John about politics. It's like talking to John about politics.
Very similar.
I can mute your mic, Jimmy.
No. Forgot he could do that. That's a problem.
There goes the echo.
Yeah.
I've always thought John's a great political
Thank you.
expert.
One thing I couldn't help but think about when Derek was on the phone and having just talked with Kevin, who's recovering from COVID, and then you go into Derek talking about his favorite sport game, a rewarding sport game, is like things that are gone now because of COVID for a while, like sports games.
The way you say sports games, it's almost like you're a huge sports fan, like sports games and things like that.
Well, like how would you say it?
Games.
Yeah,
Games.
Going
like
to games.
Monopoly?
Professional sports.
Professional sports.
Well, I was trying to differentiate from watching them on TV versus going to them. But so live in the seat sports events,
stadium games,
and concerts and whatnot. So, like, what are some of the biggest things you miss because of this COVID thing?
I mean, concerts are obviously, I've heard that from so many people. Live music is so important to people in a lot of different ways, and not being able to experience that for a while, it definitely is a shake-up from what we consider real life, And I know, John, we were talking last night when we were thinking about this of the concert we went to at Northerly Island, which, wasn't like the best bands. I think it was like Third Eye Blind and Jimmy Eat World But just how much fun! You remember that night we stopped at the little bar beforehand, and had a drink and talked about it. Then we went to the show, and it was just those are those nights that are just magical nights, with friends that make life, make it happy. I don't know.
Phil, I'm really enjoying you recounting this magical night with John Vesmar
About Third Eye Blind.
Yeah, what was that
Jimmy.
magical part? Because Kevin was there too,
and I held you in my arms at the end of the night. And
when your guys' eyes met each other's eyes on that one song, you don't remember that, John?
Step off from that ledge, my friend.
You, say me. Remember, we listened to Lionel Richie on the. Well, I don't want to listen. We don't need the guests to hear every intimate detail.
No, it was. But if you knew now, what is the saying? Like, you didn't know this was coming. This pandemic, and yeah, it wasn't the best show we've ever been to. But man, does it make me miss it?
This is you take those things for granted. It's like, oh, it's just Third Eye Blind. I mean, what would you give right now to go see, some, I know there's been a few live music events in the area. I've seen a couple. I've seen one in Cherville and Crown Point.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But even now, that's probably going away. I don't think they're going to have any of those type of concerts anytime in the near future.
Think about movie theaters. Those, I don't think you're going to be seeing those.
No, you can rent an entire movie theater now for like $99, and you can fit it with however many COVID bubble friends you've got.
Supposedly.
Just so you know,
Phil
I
tried.
tried that. I went on AMC, and I shouldn't even give them I shouldn't even mention their name. And I tried to rent their theater like it said you could do. And I filled out all the information, and it actually you could only have 20 guests. They only allow 20 people in the theater.
That's smart.
Which is good. It's only $99. And at the end of it, when you're done, you hit confirm, and it says somebody will reach out to you and, let you know. And I heard nothing.
You know, you're probably on the do not call list for AMC theaters.
I had one event in a movie theater that probably wasn't the smartest thing
You're
I should
on
have
the-
done.
yeah.
But you know what?
They're like, I know this guy, and I am never going to get
Pee
him.
Wee Herman had it. He's still famous.
Oh my
you know,
God.
he's still
Oh, God.
doing
Define
pretty well.
famous.
Famous.
Famous to me.
Based on my profile, if you can see my profile, obviously I miss buffets too because buffets are going away.
Oh,
So
that's never coming back.
You are
ever
looking good,
again.
Jimmy. Man.
I've been sucking in the whole time. And so, but I miss those sporting games. I think that you were talking about, John. The ones where they hit the field goals with the ball and they catch the
stick and the
sting.
ball.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. Until you talked about the game this weekend, I thought Russell Wilson played on the Cubs.
Well, he was
Who's
a
the-
baseball guy. That's
We're
how
all
Derek
sports
got him because they only do baseball. So
Who's the Russell guy on the Cubs? Or he was on the Cubs.
the shortstop used to be the Russell.
Oh, Addison Russell.
Addison Russell.
He's no longer with them. Yeah,
Well,
he had an
yeah.
incident too, just like
He
we're-
did. That's right.
He actually, I think he had a domestic violence situation,
Yikes.
and that kind of derailed any future career. Although I think he's still playing for another team. I think somebody signed him. But yeah, you're right. That's movie theaters is another. But you know, you can go to the theater now if you want. They're open, but
They've been open. A lot of movies, they had like original contracts before COVID even hit that they were supposed to release within theaters during a specific period of time, like Tenet.
mm-hmm.
Like Tenet was like this massive, like it's going to be the next Inception, and then they could only put it in theaters, and like box office opening was just atrocious because nobody could go.
Yeah, when I went on there, I was looking to rent the theater. I also looked at normal daily movie times, and it seemed like every movie had one time. It
Yeah,
was like
'cause
this
they
plays
got a
at
deep
6:15 p.m. Period. If you want to see it, you're going at that time. So it definitely is hampering the movie industry. But
There's a new Vince Vaughn movie out. Did you guys see that?
What?
This horror movie, horror comedy.
yes, it's a
We gotta see
What's
it.
it called?
it's a play on
Friday,
Scream.
I think, or something.
It's a play off of. Oh no, you're right.
No.
It's a play off of Friday the 13th.
Okay.
Oh my God, I gotta look
He's
this
a
up.
serial killer, and he wakes up one day in a female high schooler's body, and she is in his body. So you can imagine Vince Vaughn playing a high school
Oh
female.
boy, this is gonna be fun.
Oh, it looks hilarious. I
It's
mean, you
called
know,
Freaky.
freaky. That's what it is. So yeah, we got to go see that.
Ah,
But Phil, favorite concert you've ever been to?
You're bringing this up very quickly, but I'm gonna go.
Well, if you would have showed up
Yeah,
to show,
show
prep,
prep would've been-
you would have had a chance to think.
Prep.
I mean, I guess that makes sense now.
your
Next
lack
time
of prep gives me lack of prep when it comes to this.
I'll take prep more seriously after this podcast. But I'm gonna go with.
I think we're done, Phil. I thought this was going to be a takeover, but I've been watching the numbers and
They're going downhill.
This is more like takeout.
There's 38 people on it, and that's all the Taillons that we sent to
Right,
in our.
right.
In our
That's the whole Taillon clan is watching.
that's
right
it. Nana's
now.
on there
And
too.
Marinko, who keeps saying that you're the man, Phil.
Well, no, and he's accurate.
That's Phil's
about that.
ghost account.
Marinko
Thanks,
is my-
Marinko. I help him with all these food drives, and Phil's the man, and I'm just Phil's brother.
Wow.
Well, Marinko and I, we go way back. But I'm going to go with Tom Petty. I saw Tom Petty at Northerly Island, and I talked to people today that regret that they never got to see Tom Petty live. But he was one of those guys that, whether you were listening on the radio or you saw him live, he sounded exactly the same, at least for the concert that I went to. And, every word to majority of his songs. I mean, it's just Tom Petty is just easily probably my favorite concert.
Was there a part of that concert where you and John met eyes and had one of those magical moments?
Aw.
I mean,
you hold hands.
Sadly, I wasn't there, but I wish I would have saw Tom Petty before.
Who'd you go with, Phil?
I believe it was Kelly, my wife.
You better be right on that.
Yeah, I know this could be a problem.
Sorry, John.
I'm pretty sure I thought about John. while I
Yeah,
was
you
there.
probably called him.
I remember.
Wish you were here
Texting
instead
him
of
the whole
Kelly.
time.
I put my phone up, and Kelly was trying to hold me, and I'm pushing her away. I'm like, hold on, John's on FaceTime.
FaceTime. He needs to
Back
see
down.
So come on, I want to hear from you three. I know we only have a few minutes left. Jimmy?
I'm not a concert guy, so all my best concerts have been probably at here in Hammond.
Okay.
I've never been a concert guy. I'm a sports guy.
What's one thing you miss the most?
Sports game guy.
Sports games?
Sports games. Yeah, I miss going to the games. I miss getting free tickets from Derek and going to a game and seeing them. That's what I wanted to ask him if he had anybody with the Sox or Cubs that were coming up.
Oh, my God. Breaking news. Kelly Taillon just said it was not me.
Who was it? Was it my dad?
Lockpod results in a divorce.
Well,
This could be a problem. No, it was absolutely Kelly. She's joking if she sent that because I remember.
She did. It's in the comments section.
It's in the
right now.
comments, man.
She
Also,
is-
Marinko said, Jim Taillon, you are the man too, brother. Nothing but love. And also
It's a little
said,
too late now, I think. When
Lindsay
you got to ask for
McDermott,
it.
don't want to leave you out. See, everybody always gives me like love. And John, everybody say that they love John Vesmar, please, in the comments right now.
You know what, Jimmy? Just tell
Yeah,
him, Marinko,
chat.
Jimmy is not taking you to any sports games in the future.
That's it. Marenko, good luck. Good luck getting your own tickets.
You drew the line in the sand. Lindsay, favorite concert? Go.
Okay, so my fiance's favorite pastime is going to concerts. So I've been to quite a number of them. But last year, I think it was last year, I went and saw 9 Inch Nails over in Chicago, and it was incredible. Like, they had this massive light show. And it was, if you had epilepsy, you shouldn't have gone. Like, that's how intense it was.
Your future husband is what type of genre music is he into?
Alternative rock. I'm a big 90s alternative.
Like an NSYNC, Backstreet Boys.
That is not 90s alternative.
Oh, well, I'm just feeling you out here.
No,
Like Everclear? No, this is crazy. Phil and I were just talking about this. I'm listening to a lot more Everclear lately.
I don't drink Everclear after college, you know.
Father of mine.
That's like the only song I know
Where
by
have
them.
you
No,
been?
like I will buy you a new.
No,
there's so
like,
many.
I'm talking like Pearl Jam.
Hey, they played
Oh.
a Festival of the Lakes, by
grunge
the way.
alternative.
Everclear?
Everclear did, yeah. They played
No
a Festival of the Lakes.
way.
Absolutely,
Yeah, they did.
did.
I think when I like in the early days, like when I was younger,
They were great. I mean,
Dad made me go home early so he could hang out.
and you say that, Jim, you're not a big music guy going to a lot of concerts, but I'm telling you, you're almost lucky to live in Hammond and go to the Festival of the Lakes because how many great shows
Oh my
have
god.
been at Festival of the Lakes?
My favorite, two favorite shows at Festival of Lakes. One, and I'm not even the biggest Limp Bizkit fan, but it was so magical. And it wasn't just because Phil and I were holding hands at the time.
It was pretty obvious where that was going.
No,
I was
no.
working the bar, but it
No.
was a good show.
Do you guys remember this show, the most recent Limp Bizkit show Fest? It's pouring down rain. And they're like, screw it. We're going to keep playing. And the guitarist, who's just a nut anyways, just like is freaking out because his pedals aren't working and like just throws them through the amp and like kicks the amp over, but then like just plugs directly into the amp and just starts shredding. I mean, it was an incredible show. It was so good.
Yeah,
that's
I heard a
true
lot
rock
about
and
it.
roll.
Yeah, I remember Tone Loc when he started rapping to behind the stage.
Oh my gosh!
I was back there working, and Tone Loc started rapping the guy to come get him and take him out to the front.
Yeah.
Tone Loc. He had an incident after the fest, right?
He did.
Didn't he get into a fight or something? Or?
Yeah, but for people that haven't been to the Hammond Pavilion, the stage is kind of divided by this glass barrier, and Tone Loc came out on the wrong side, thinking
God.
he was singing to the crowd when actually he was singing to the very much smaller VIP crowd in the back that was just there for drinks.
He got drinking, yeah. 200 of us at our a very private concert.
And he noticed pretty quickly, though. I'll give him credit for that. He realized, wait a minute, there should be more than 23 people here.
I think Sugar Ray was my favorite Festival of the Lakes performance.
Sugar Ray played twice.
They
by the
played
way.
twice, but the first time I liked them more because they were more willing to like hang out afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Like the second time they performed, I guess they're getting tired now and they just like took off immediately.
Is it true he's kind of a dick?
No, they were all so super nice. Their
Really?
DJ gave me his glasses.
But
Wow.
if I recall correctly, the first time
Correctly.
I think he liked drugs quite a bit more than the second time.
Probably.
And so that's why he ended up at Flat Rock with Mayor and a lot of the rest of us.
Marissa got this awesome picture of him at Flat Rock, actually. We treasure it as a family.
Yeah.
I guess I'm biased because I've only seen one video of this guy like talking to fans, and he was just being a real
Really?
jerk.
I
Yeah.
know. He was super nice when I went back. I got to like say hi to him after the show. 'Cause
Whoa, won't get into that.
McGrath, right? Ray, what was his name? Something McGrath.
You know who else was super
Yes.
nice? Flo Rida. He was a very nice guy.
That was a good concert, actually. I really enjoyed
I
that
missed
one.
that one. There was some wedding. Somebody had a wedding that day. Was that?
Probably the girl you were kissing at the one concert. That was
Oh
Tom
my
Petty.
God!
Yep.
Jeez.
I had just taken a girl to a sports game.
Then a Tom
And
Petty show.
Right afterwards, Tom Petty, and then John met me there, and I had her Uber home.
I don't.
So
That's going to be a weird conversation at home later.
Yeah.
Like, good luck.
she's just playing into the podcast to get the ratings up, and it's not working, Cal. They're
It's not
going
working.
People are more upset.
We need to wrap this up. I mean, we've broken the 1 hour mark. Thank God. It
We
feels
did
like it took 4 hours to get here.
Aw.
You know, that doesn't make it. Jimmy, I had a blast. I don't know about you.
Let's go another 2 hours. I think this is
You guys want
obviously.
to do a marathon?
Let me do a quick poll while we talk here.
I've got homework to do, y'all.
No, this was great. Really appreciate Mayor Tom McKevin asking us to fill in for him when they couldn't be here, and obviously it was it was fun doing the Taillon Takeover. Over. There it is. But I want to let everybody know that on Tuesday, both Kevin and Tom will be back, as I'm sure you'll be very excited to hear. And thanks for putting up with us today and letting us chat about some of these fun topics. And I hope you enjoyed Darek. It was kind of interesting to hear from a sports agent, especially from who has players that go to sports games.
Yeah,
and
I should have told him to do quicker answers, though. He really kind of expanded, and this was really a short. It should have been more about us. He was just kind of the sprinkles on top of the cake, and I think he tried to take over a little too much. So
I agree. He rambled on a little bit. Does he not know that we're the
right? I wanted to break in, but he was in the middle of a seemingly smart comment that I wasn't paying attention to because I was thinking about what I needed to say next.
Exactly.
On the show, and so it's bad.
Which makes us great interviewers when you're thinking, if he would just kind of get through this answer so I can ask the next great question I came up with.
We might not be going anywhere because I've got the poll going.
No, everybody please answer no. I want to go home.
Oh, man.
Do you want to hear Phil and Jimmy go another 2 hours? Right now, 70% say yes.
Oh, my gosh.
Only because they
That
want
is
Lindsay
8
to
votes.
suffer. Only because they want Lindsay to
They know
suffer.
Lindsay has
Only
homework.
8 votes,
Right.
okay?
Yeah.
70 or 67% sounds really impressive, but it's like 8 votes.
Oh, no. Only when the percentage of no's is higher will we end this broadcast, people.
Please, guys.
So
Okay, now I'm going to have to ask for
Hold
that.
on. I'm going on. I'm voting yes. We're going to keep this going for days.
Oh, no. Everyone's voting yes. This is crazy. What are we going to talk about?
Well, Kid Rock, I remembered. Kid Rock was my favorite. At the Waste Management Open, after the Waste Management Open, Kid Rock played.
Oh, the
God.
good old days when there were sports games and concerts. And
Yeah, that's all I have, though, because I only had an hour's worth of notes.
you jotted that down.
Right,
with
so
with the prep, we only came up with an hour's worth.
I've given you everything I had, and I really need to save my vessel, too, because this
Your
is my
vessel?
Yeah, it's my moneymaker, my voice.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what's going to carry me.
That's a weird word to use in that context.
I'm going to start the outro music.
Okay.
Yep.
Sounds good.
By the way, thank you, John and Lindsay, for making it seem like we could be in a podcast and make it seem like
you
it
guys
could function
did
properly.
so good.
Sure. Good job.
Well, it's all about show prep, Lindsay. I mean, we said that at 7 to 7:25
Yeah.
when we actually did the show prep before the star came.
Thanks, Jimmy, for coming in. Short notice as well. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And we'll see you back on Tuesday with Tom and Kevin.
Good luck enjoying that show.
Take care.